Ooh! Greetings friends and welcome to the Kamehameha / Key Blast / Energy Blast ability guide. In this video I'm going to show you how to make an epic Key Blast attack like Super Anime, Dragon Ball Z styles. And what's cool about this is that it will be able to work at different distances, so it's not just like one solid beam, but it's something that can actually go to different lengths. It'll explode on impact and all those various things, so that you'll really get that sense of it traveling outwards from your hands and not just being sort of like a static object. Alrighty friends, let's get stuck in. Ooooh! Okay friends, so we've got a blank basic puppet here, nothing fancy, and the first thing that we're going to do in this video is actually make the Kamehameha. So we're going to work on the design. So we're going to go into modes, sculpt mode, get ourselves the curve shape, then we're going to make it blue. You can of course make it whatever color you like. Then we're going to go to guides, grid snap. Now you'll see the curve's default shape is kind of like a little ball, but if you press L1 and square, we can drag it out like this. And I want you to make it kind of not too short, kind of like a little bit of a medium-sized little sausage. Press circle, then press R2. Okay, sweet. Now, L1 and square on our little energy sausage, and we're going to increase the glow so that it's pretty bright, but make emit light from glow, never. So the reason we do that is we get the color and the brightness, but it doesn't like flood the whole scene with, you know, all sorts of oversaturation and so on and so forth. Then we can turn the old grid snap off. Okay friends, now we're going to go gadgets, logic and processing, get ourselves a microchip, L1 and X to surface snap it onto the old surface of our little energy sausage. And then we're going to put down we're going to go into sensors and input and put down an impact sensor. Now this impact sensor is going to detect when it hits something in particular and at which point it's going to explode. But one of the things we have to change first is go L1 and square on our little energy over here. Then we're going to go labels and ownership and make it a missile. Sorry, not a weapon, a missile. You can make it anything you like, it's really up to you. Then we're going to go into collision labels and we're going to turn missile off. So this means that it is a missile, that's the label it is, and it won't collide with itself or other little copies of itself, which is very important because otherwise when you shoot it out they'll go and they'll, you know, impact with each other and instantly explode as soon as they leave your hand. So you want to make sure that missile is turned off. Then on impact sensor, it's going to detect labels, but of course it's not going to detect missile. Otherwise, if it impacted with another missile, it would, as we say, explode as soon as it leaves your hand. Nice. So now we want to make it so that when this touches something, it's going to explode. So we're going to go move as an output, emitter. We can connect this up to the old impact sensor, and it's going to emit something. And now it's time for us to get artistic and create a little explosion. Check out my custom explosions video if you want to make something funky. You can of course go into the media molecule sort of starter kit and take out one of those explosions, but I think we'll get a little bit funky here. So I think we'll let's see what's a nice energy. Impressionist is pretty cool. I'm going to go similar color of blue, and yeah, then I'm just going to create a bit of an explosion, go a little bit crazy. It doesn't have to be too fancy. One thing you might want to do is just create a bit of variation in sort of like length, so that there's sort of some longer bits and some shorter bits. Then we're going to go L1 and square, 50% glow, or 52 or whatever it was. Make it so it doesn't emit light from glow. Now, duplicates, rotational duplicates, and you can see whichever one of these you prefer. I think a round hemisphere is pretty good because it gives you kind of like a bit of a semicircle. Then you can go to painting animation, and you can increase this, and this increases the speed of the strokes. So that looks pretty cool. But something that we're also going to do now, because we're going very over the top, is L1 and square again. We're going to go frame by frame, and then we're going to go up, so we go to the second frame, and as you can see we can't see anything just yet. So actually let's quickly just go back to 1, L1 and square on our painting, then L1 and X, and we can now see what's going on there. We'll go frame by frame, next frame, and we can still sort of see the old one. And we're basically just going to make another little explosion here, slightly different vibe, and then it's going to, as you can see, there's a little bit of variation between the explosions. It's going a little bit slow, so what we might want to do is just increase the speed of it. So that looks a little bit cooler. Yeah. But yes, friends, I did go a little bit faster in the explosion section, but if you're interested in seeing the inner workings of that, check out my custom explosions video. Alrighty. So this is kind of what it'll look like when the Kamehameha, the energy, sort of impacts with an object, you know, with an enemy or with a wall or something like that. Okay, sweet. And of course, when it impacts with something, it's also going to disappear, because we don't want it to explode, but then the beam sort of keeps firing off into the distance. Okay, sweet. Now the next thing that we're going to have is an emitter. And I'm just going to put it down for now. It's going to go into our character, but I just want to demonstrate first. So we're going to go L1 and square. We're going to choose our little beam over here. And we're going to say time between emits 0.1, just to sort of demonstrate it first. And as you can see, it's kind of going, but of course it's falling immediately, which isn't what we want. So we'll go show and hide, preview and visibility, L1 and square, physical properties with a little stuff over there, ignore gravity. So now it's going to keep going forwards. And it looks a little bit funny with all the microchips and the explosion having a crazy time over there. So that looks pretty funky, but if we turn off electronics, you can see you've already got like quite a nice beam going there. So that's looking pretty cool, friends. We can turn that back on. Okay, cool. So now we're going to make it so that when it impacts with something, it's going to emit this explosion. And the explosion will be emitted sort of like right at its nose. So it's kind of like right at the point where it impacts. You can do it sort of thereabouts. You might want to mess around with the size and that sort of stuff. You will of course have emit mode once, and the speed will be 0. We can also make time between emits 0. So now it's going to do that, but we actually need something to impact with in order to see what's cracking here. So I'm just going to go into sculpt mode and create a little bit of a wall quickly. Shwang, shwang, shwang. Lovely stuff. Okay, cool. So now it goes, and as you can see, when it hits the wall, it sort of starts to explode. And what's cool about this, friends, is that if you move the wall, it will move as well. So as you can see, the explosion's kind of sticking around at the minute. So what you might want to do is, for the emitter, which emits the explosion, you might be like, okay, I actually only want it to last like 0.3 seconds or 0.5 seconds. So now it'll go, whoo, and it'll start exploding. And if we move it, it's kind of like shwang. The distance is variable. The reason why it stops is because in our emitter there's a certain amount of emits. There's like a maximum amount of emits. But this is cool, friends, because when you have sort of like just a static beam, you can't really change the distance of it. But because of this, you can actually hit enemies at like different distances and all these sorts of things. Alrighty. If you want the Kamehameha to go faster, that's totally cool. You just increase the speed. Whoa! But keep in mind that if it moves faster, there'll be a greater distance between the various little pieces. So you might need to continue to decrease the size of the, or rather the time of emits, or the emit speed. So you might make it 0.04. And if even that's not fast enough, you might just make it 0.0. You've just got to be careful because there's only a certain amount that you can actually emit at one time. So you might say like max emitted at once is infinite, but you'll be like, okay, but it can only go for like, let's say 2 seconds. So this way, it can go for a distance, but eventually it will stop. And you'll want to put a sort of limit on these, friends. Otherwise, you're going to have like a lot of objects in your dreams. And at this stage, there isn't really too much of a thermo impact. But you just want to make sure that you set limitations so that it doesn't sort of go nuts. So yeah, friends, that's how you get the sort of the speed and the distance working with this. And yeah, once again, if we turn off the electronics, it looks pretty cool. There's a little bit of like angle here I'm seeing at the moment. So we might want to mess around with that a bit to just see that everything is all cool. Just make sure these things are aligned to the grids, the various grids and so on and so forth. Maybe reset this. And yeah, we kind of just make it so that we make it so that it's nice and straight. So that's nice and straight. You can see it was slightly off there. Now we go cha-ching. And now it's looking pretty nice. Pretty straight. If we go in, it's looking pretty solid. You might want to look at the beam, and we can see the sort of explosion part is a little bit off center. So I'm just going to go here and mess around with my perspective, change the angle that we're looking at it so that it goes a little bit more in the center. That looks pretty cool. Vibes. So that's looking good, friends. If you want to mess around with the color and the look of it, of course, that is up to your own sort of creativity, and I leave it up to you. But now let's create just a little bit of an animation, just to, you know, draw it all together. Wouldn't be complete without the old animation. Okay, cool. Default keyframe where nothing is happening. Then we're gonna sort of begin the crouch. Oh, I love DBZ. Leave a comment if you're a huge DBZ fan, friends. I also play Dragon Ball Fighters, by the way. So, at me, bros. I'll beat you. My team is next level. I actually challenge you. If you wanna fight me, I challenge you. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, whoops. Okay. Let us go here. Let's create a bit of a vibe. A bit of a crouch. You want to have like a bit of a crouch going on, you know what I'm saying? Okay, this is looking a little bit painful. Looks like he's in a bit of pain. So it's going like he's charging up his Kamehameha. Okay, cool. He charges it up. He'll hold it for a few seconds so you can sort of increase the length of that keyframe. And then he will sort of unleash it. And it's pretty quick, so you reduce the distance between the sort of hold keyframe and the release keyframe. So let's just animate this one quickly. And it's going to be hips move forward, body tilts, arms then move forward. The important thing with the Kamehameha is to rotate the torso, because of course like the arms, depending on how the torso is rotated, the arms will appear to be like different lengths, you know what I mean? So it's important to mess around with that torso and the position of all the various hands and everything. There's a little bit you have to consider, but really whatever works for you, friends. Kamehameha. Mess around with the feet and so on and so forth. Because as you can see, it looks like the hands are like a slightly different length at the minute. Or the arms, rather. But don't worry, because the Kamehameha, we're also going to create a little bit of like a energy ball like around where you shoot it. So the hands and the kind of spawn point of the energy is going to be disguised. Sorry, I'm just recording there. And you can also make this one long. And then you're going to copy the default keyframe, put it down, just slap it down there so they go back to their default position. So, yeah. So that looks pretty cool. Yeah. That's looking very nice. Cha-cha-chang. You might want to make it even longer as well. Cha-cha-chang. So they sort of do it for like a good few seconds. Yeah. That looks cool. Okay, sweet. So now what you might want to do is sort of create a bit of a like circle, or like a sphere. And it's going to be the same color as these dudes. It's going to be 50% glow. Don't emit light from glow. And this will kind of get spawned like at his hands, at our character's hands when they release the Kamehameha. So it's going to be 1, speed is 0, the object to emit is this guy. It's going to be like in this region by your hands. You just want to sort of ensure that it's pretty lined up with the old blast itself. And of course we're going to move this emitter, which is the Kamehameha itself, the sort of beam part. Just remember that when you move something from outside of a microchip into another one, it can sometimes change the direction and position. So just put on a grid snap and make sure that chap is pointing in the right direction. So now if we click on both of these emitters, if we click on both of these emitters with L1 and square, we'll be able to see how they sort of line up together. You can quickly turn off preview invisibility, so we're only seeing the stuff in question. And we can be like, okay, sweet, let me line this up now, so it looks kind of cool. I love the like OG classic like Kamehameha that Goku did in like Dragon Ball and Master Roshi does. Okay, sweet friends. So how long will this energy ball last for? It will last for about, what is that? About 2 seconds, maybe like 2.2. Okay, sweet. Now let's connect that to the R2 button. Quarter circle X, you know what I'm saying, DBZ fans? Anyway. Okay, so it looks like it is currently... It's impacting, and I'll tell you probably what it's impacting with. I bet you it's impacting with this guy. So I'm going to make him a missile as well. Also not collide with missile. And yeah, okay, let's try once again. There we go. So what was happening there was it was sort of colliding with the circle that I created. So now if we change our sort of distance, if we go a little bit further away, Kamehameha, you'll see that the angle and stuff changes as well. I'm just going to quickly go to our timeline, and I'm going to go playback mode and set that to once. Kamehameha! So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, if you turn, it'll be like, wee. So that's kind of a different sort of vibe. What you might want to do to make your character stand still is just prevent movement. But yeah, friends, I mean, I think that looks pretty cool. There was a little bit of like, if you look at my shadow, there's a little bit of like rippling of the emitter when it sort of first spawns. So what you might want to do to ease that a little bit is to go to your beam emitter, L1 and square on both your beam emitter and the like ball one, and move the beam one like a little bit back, so it's like spawning almost like inside the sphere. You might also want to make the sphere a little bit bigger. This is basically just bells and whistles now, friends. Yeah! Just so that it's all looking good. So yes, friends, that's pretty much all there is to it. If you go off into the distance, it'll sort of keep going. If you want to make it so that it explodes eventually, like no matter what, so you'll be like, okay, cool, even if it doesn't hit anything, I want it to like explode. You can do that. If you wanted to just keep going on and do nothing, then you're pretty much done, friends, and you can head out. Peace, thanks for being here. But if you want to do like a timed explosion and disappearance, that's cool. You can just go timer. You can be like after, I don't know, 3 seconds. You must also sort of line this up with however long the energy beam lasts for. Okay, yeah, so the emitted object lifetime is 2 seconds. So that's how long the beam is going to be here before it disappears. So you'll make the timer something like 1.9. And after 1.9 seconds, it will do an explosion and disappear. So now if we try it, Kamehameha, we see that it sort of like disappears, it explodes in the distance. Whether you want to do that or not is totally up to you, friends. You can also just have it so that it kind of just keeps going. Yes, friends, so that's pretty much all there is to making a Kamehameha. And yes, I hope you enjoyed this. I was thinking about this for a while. Shout out to Tammy for asking me to make this video. And yes, friends, I hope you found it useful. And yes, all you DBZ fans, I hope you enjoy it. I'll catch you in DB Fighters. Yeah, for sure. Thanks, friends. I may make more like DBZ related stuff And yeah, you just let me know in the comments if you want me to. You know, Big Bang Attack, Final Flash, Spirit Bomb, all that sort of stuff. It's actually, those are all way easier than the Kamehameha. So just let me know, friends, and I shall see what I can do. I'll maybe make like a Dragon Ball Z power collection. But I thought I would do this as a little bit of a pilot. Yes. Okay, sweet. But enough of my talking and nonsense. Thank you, friends. I shall catch you on the flip-flop. Noise. Hey, thanks for watching, friends. I just want to give a massive shout out to my Patreon patrons, or as I like to call them, the Mean Knights. Thank you so much, Tap Giles. Ooh, thanks so much, Tap Sensei. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And Salt Levels Max, my first patron. Ah, ye. Friends, if you want to support your boy and get access to some bonus content, consider becoming a patron. Thanks for watching, friends. Peace out.